Okay, Rich Van Tassel back with you, continuing on with our game picks for Week 13 of the NFL season, and of course, recording audio for Get Live Radio. Our next game, the Philadelphia Eagles at 5-6, 1-5 on the road, travel to Cincinnati to play the Bengals, who are 3-7-1, 2-2-1 at home. Of course, that tie came in London, however. The injuries for the visiting Eagles: Ryan Matthews and Halapatuvati Vitayi, the offensive tackle and running back respectively, are out. Jordan Matthews, the wide receiver, is questionable. For the Bengals, Clark Harris, the long snapper, doubtful. A.J. Green, wide receiver, Wallace Gilberry, defensive end, Darren Smith, safety, are out. C.J. Azuma, the tight end, is doubtful. Philadelphia, of course, struggling very much on the road. Cincinnati has gone downhill as well. Two teams heading the wrong way coming into this game. Philadelphia is still a shot in the NFC playoff picture. The NFC East is not obtainable for them anymore. The wild card, while a long shot, still possible because they have games against the Redskins and Giants coming up, but they've got to get started right away. Carson Wentz really coming back down to earth, 11 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. He's not finding the end zone, and this team is not finding the end zone enough. Andy Dalton, on the other hand, 12 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, so his numbers are not great either. I got to go with the Bengals in this one. They've lost a few in a row here. Philadelphia just not a good road team, and I think the Bengals are going to show some professional pride down these last couple games of the season, their last 5, and come up with a few victories here, and I believe it starts tomorrow against the Philadelphia Eagles. I like Cincinnati 28-17. Philadelphia continues to have its issues finding the end zone in this game. The Miami Dolphins, winners of 6 straight at 7-4, 2-3 on the road, travel to Baltimore to play the Ravens, who are 6-5 and 4-2 at home. The injuries for the visiting Dolphins: 4 questionables: Kiko Alonso, linebacker; Jelani Jenkins, linebacker; Kenyon Drake, running back; and Brandon Albert, offensive tackle. Mike Pouncey, their center, is out. For the Baltimore Ravens, Crockett Gilmore, tight end; Lorenzo Taliaferro, running back, are out. Jimmy Smith, cornerback; Kamir Aiken, wide receiver; and Javoris Allen, running back, are doubtful. The Baltimore Ravens have had their issues running the ball at times. Terrence West numbers, when you look at them, just at 150 carries, 153 to be exact, and 600 yards, so that's just shy of the 4 yards per carry average, but he's had some really bad games, and just games where Baltimore is not running the ball that well. Joe Flacco's numbers are not great, 11 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. He's getting some yards, he's getting the ball downfield at times to Mike Wallace, but all in all, Joe Flacco has been inconsistent, and frankly, Ryan Tannehill, who I've not been too high on at times, is outplaying Joe Flacco this year, and Miami has really found something coming into this game. Baltimore, of course, in that AFC North playoff race with the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's really just the two of them now who's going to claim the division title. Of course, this game would be big in a potential wild card tiebreaker at the end of the season. Will either one of these teams, should they not win the division? Miami, of course, will not. Baltimore, if they don't win the division, will they be in the wild card race? That remains to be seen, but it's a big one nonetheless, because you don't want to have that loss. 1, it'll put Baltimore at 6 losses, and 2, it would really affect them in a potential wild card. But really, the division's the only way for the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Ravens will win this game. They've shown the ability to win big games in the past. Whatever Joe Flacco's stats are, he's shown the ability to win big games in the past. And I look for Jimmy Smith. While questionable, he'll be able to shut down either Jarvis Landry, who he'll have most of the game, or Kenny Stills, or any of the other wide receivers for Miami who are playing well. Jay Ajayi is going to have a tough time against the Baltimore run defense, which has been good. However, Ezekiel Elliott did have a good game against them, so we've seen at times they haven't played well. But all in all, they've played very good thus far this season. And I don't think the Dolphins have the offensive line that the Cowboys do. And that's why I'm picking Baltimore in what I would expect to be a relatively low-scoring game. I like 21-17. The Ravens find a way to win another big game, as they usually do. The 49ers at 1-10, losers of 10 straight, 0-5 on the road, travel to Chicago to play the Bears, who are 2-9, 2-3 at home. Game of the week in this one, WEAK week. For the 49ers, their injuries: Aaron Lynch, linebacker, questionable; Quentin Parker, wide receiver, questionable; Shane Scove, a linebacker, is out on injury reserve. For the Chicago Bears, 4 questionables: Leonard Floyd, linebacker; DeAndre Hall, defensive back; Adrian Amos, safety; and Willie Young, the linebacker. Kyle Fuller is an injury reserve out, the cornerback. San Francisco, all in all, Colin Kaepernick, he's actually put up some pretty good numbers. He hasn't turned the ball over. His yards aren't great, but remember, he's missed a few games and he has 10 touchdowns. He's really played well at times, despite the team's 1-10 record. Of course, the problems with San Francisco, I've said it, it's been Chip Kelly. Just the style of offense he's playing, he's not having enough balance, whether it's running the ball too much, passing the ball too much. It's game to game, it's all over, it's inconsistent. And frankly, he's just not that type of NFL coach who can bring his college style to the pros. It just doesn't work that way, and it's showing. And it's been reflective in how he's fallen off from last year in Philadelphia and then continuing on this year in San Francisco. Chicago, not much better. I'm looking at Matt Barkley at getting the start. I actually like what I saw from Matt Barkley last week. I'm surprised Matt Barkley wasn't a higher draft pick than he was. Remember, when he was young in college, he was like the next guy. And let's see if he can start to develop things down the stretch. Like I said, 2 bad teams. It's tough to pick who's going to win this one. As much as I like Barkley and I like what Chicago can do, I think San Francisco is going to end their 10-game losing streak in this one. They played Miami well last week, and I think they come up with the victory in this one. I'm liking 24-20, but remember, 2 bad teams, not much to look forward to in this game, if anything at all. One of the more interesting games I'm looking at this week are the Buffalo Bills at 6-5, 3-3 on the road, traveling to Oakland to play the Raiders, who are 9-2, 4-2 at home. Injuries for the visiting Buffalo Bills, all listed as questionables. Marcel Darius, defensive tackle; Court Glenn, offensive tackle; James Ahedebo, safety; Sammy Watkins, wide receiver; and Charles Clay, the tight end. For the Raiders, 3 outs: DJ Hayden, cornerback; Stacey McGee, defensive tackle; Shalil Calhoun, linebacker; Latavius Murray, the running back; and Michael Crabtree, the wide receiver, are questionables. Buffalo at 6-5, traveling to cross country. It's a 4 o'clock start in Oakland. Buffalo, we know, has not been to the playoffs in, 17 years now. They would have to have this one to keep pace. They're really not out of the wild card by any stretch. Remember, Denver currently holds the last wild card at 7-4. I think Denver is going to lose a few games down the stretch. Buffalo, of course, and Miami actually holds the last spot, but Buffalo will play Miami again, and they have some opportunities to make up that ground. But certainly they're only a game behind either one of those teams. So it becomes one of the situations where can Buffalo finally figure out a way to win one of these tough games and get themselves together. Yeah, they have Miami the second to last week of the season. They have a pretty difficult schedule as well. After the Raiders, they have the Steelers. Then it softens up with the Browns. You have the Dolphins, which is a tough game, but a game they need to win, and the Jets. So certainly Buffalo can springboard themselves with a victory here. And there's potential that Buffalo could win out, or at least win 4 of their last 5. And with a victory over the Dolphins, could put themselves very much in playoff consideration. But Buffalo has not shown the ability to win these tough games, which is one of the things that has been their bugaboo basically for 17 years because they haven't been to the playoffs in that long, as we just said. Derek Carr putting up big-time numbers. Should Marcel Darius not be able to go, that's going to be a problem that they can't get pressure up the middle. I expect him to go. You have a good secondary in Buffalo, Stephon Gilmore and Ronald Darby. Tyrod Taylor will have to make plays. LaShawn McCoy is going to have to be at his best. But I think Buffalo will get the win. Maybe I'm going with my heart a little bit. I like Tyrod Taylor. I like this Buffalo Bills team. I like some of the guys, like the Gilmores, like the LaShawn McCoys. But I like Buffalo to finally get that big victory. I think Oakland may be coasting. I thought they were coasting last week and they would have gotten the loss. They didn't. They were able to come up with a victory over the Carolina Panthers. We have Derek Carr with that finger injury, of course. In this one, I'm expecting he'll turn the ball over more than he has. Obviously, he's limited himself to only 5 interceptions, but I think that finger injury will give Buffalo just what they need to come up with the victory. Like I said, maybe a heart pick in this one, but I'm taking the Bills 27-23 over the Oakland Raiders. All right, so we'll be back in just a little bit to continue on and finish up with our Week 13 game picks. Be sure to stay tuned for that. See you in just a moment. Thank you.